Hello everybody, welcome back to Bag Only, my inventory-only Ultimate Iron Man here on Oldschool Runescape, with just a few extra limitations. No containers, no stash units, no POH storage, none of that stuff. We're just using our inventory only, and of course no bank. So our main priority at the moment is to complete a Theatre of Blood raid. Of course we're going to do entry mode just for the quest, and we're going to do it solo. So we've been to Barrows, got ourselves some gear, we've got ourselves 99 ranged, so we're just going to do the last little bits of prep here, and then we're going to go send some raids, try and get the Night at the Theatre quest complete, and then we'll only have Song of the Elves left, as well as the brand new quest that's recently just been released, Secrets of the North. Obviously our goal currently is still to obtain the Questcape, and then after that we'll be going for the Lumbridge Elite Diary to get rid of our Drayman staff, and then we'll be getting into some PVM, maybe trying to tackle some of the combat achievements, things like that. So let's get into it. Hey friends, I'm in a really unexpected location. I've just been fishing and cooking some monkfish for some reason today, just as something to do. We've got ourselves one fishing level and one cooking level, so we're now 71 cooking and 78 fishing, which is nice. Don't think we unlock any more fish or anything new to cook, but we always want more levels in both of these. If we can get ourselves 80 cooking, then we can cook sharks, which is somewhere I really want to get to on the account. Even if we don't get the 82 fishing to get minnows and get noted sharks, we can always go to the fishing shop in Korend and actually buy raw sharks and hot worlds and then just cook them with 80. Honestly, probably the best way to do cooking is to go back to the wines. It may be that we decide to go try Temperos a little bit down the line. Like I did mention a long time ago, it's still on the cards, because obviously a lot of the loot from Temperos is noted fish, and there's a cooking fire at the rewards pool as well, and a bank to unnote on. But one day when we do get set into PVM, we are going to need a better method to consistently get some food. Hey guys, easy clue scroll. And it's an air staff. Not going to bother to go to Intrana for like single clues, because obviously every time we visit we have to drop our Barrows gear outside, which means it breaks and it costs us 50k a piece to fix. So unless we have a decent sized stack of easy clues, I'm certainly not going to be doing that. But that's 75 completed so far, so looking good. Hey everybody, it's Tears of Gothic's time once again. God, it feels like I'm in here for like 10 years these days. Now that we're just literally missing 2 quests, we have 285 ticks of this minigame each week, which is actually a really long time. That should be a prayer level though. 13,000 XP, 71 prayer. Hey guys, quick hard clue casket here from some fish. Oh no way, Sammy Page. And it's a unique. That's only one left, we just need page 3. Right gamers, we are here. I think it's time to finally have an attempt at a Theatre of Blood in entry mode. So what I'm going to do is just clean up the invent as much as we can. And that's probably going to have to include getting rid of our Xerix, which is fine, you know, it's like a 1 in 120 to get one back. But what I need to get together is just a couple of runes to cast Ivan's Blast, make sure we've got enough bolts for our crossbow, maybe get a Mystic top switch as well, just so we're switching tops or something. But in entry mode, like, the stats are lowered enough where you can potentially feasibly kill them all with ranged. So, guys, what I've been doing is I've been over at the Chaos Druids, just grabbing a whole bunch of herbs, as you can see here, and throwing together a few Guthix Rests, hoping for a few ranging Dwarf Weeds as well. Because at the end of the day, a Guthix Rest is a 20 healing food, which, yeah, it's 2 less than a pineapple pizza, but it doesn't interrupt your attacks, but it also gives you run energy as well. So it's quite a good food to get. So what I'm doing now is I'm over at the Deranged Archaeologist, our best friend here over on Fossil Island, the budget version of the Crazy Archaeologist who's normally in the wilderness. And what we're doing here is we're hoping for some of these noted diamonds, as well as the fact he can actually drop the Dwarf Weeds that we're looking for at about 1 in 12, 1 in 13. So if we don't get a Dwarf Weed, then at least we can turn each of these diamonds he drops noted into 12 diamond bolt tips. Then we'll go find some Addy somewhere, we'll make some diamond bolt E's, and then we'll keep the ruby bolts as well as a switch. Excited to try this today, but there's just so much prep work into a single attempt. Okay guys, we've made our bolt tips from the diamonds we got. Didn't get any Dwarf Weeds, so I'm not going to sit around and wait for those. Like I say, you do get the bandages inside the theatre that do act as a ranging part once you beat the first 2 rooms, so hopefully we don't need to actually bring one in. What I'm doing for now is just going to go do as many gargoyles as I can be bothered to right now, because we do need GP. But I've unnoted some prayer pots and I've just thieved enough men to afford a rock hammer. I'm just going to come here for some gold pieces, just because we need some more death runes and fire runes. I don't have enough casts at the minute. Like I say, we just need mage for the crab room, where you swap between the different spiders, whatever you call it, so you can kill the blue ones that can only be damaged with mage. We also need a little bit of money for like cosmics and stuff, so once we find a place to get some Addy bolts and pop these tips on, we can enchant them, and then we can actually go do an attempt at a theatre. Okay gamers, here we are, off to God Wars. Not here to do any bossing or really kill any Slayer task monsters, I'm just here to go try kill some avian seeds, because in the past we have completed the Fremenic Hard Diary. In theory, some of the avian seeds in here should drop noted Addy bars. I think it's around a 1 in 4.5 drop chance for a couple of Addy bars. Now normally the easiest way to get Addy bolts is to go to Sepulchre, but if we wanted to go to Sepulchre we'd have to make a grapple again, because obviously I didn't keep any of the Sepulchre uniques. So what we're going to do instead is go kill some Aviancies and try not to die. If we can get 2 lots of their noted Addy bars, I just want enough to use up these 60 tips, and then I'll go attempt the Theatre of Blood. No more messing about, no more prepping. There we go, that's our second drop, we're out of here. So we head over to the theatre now. I think the best way is just grab the Ecto and take the boat. Obviously, like I said way ages ago when we got the Dragon's Medallion, we can't use the Dragon's Medallion to get to raids, because you have to go down there to get it. It's not on Purdue's shop. I really wish they would add it to Purdue's shop. It would help our account out a lot, and there's really no reason it shouldn't be on there. Like I say, you are allowed to die in here, I think. I also think maybe I should have got a poison weapon for the final boss. I think there's some kind of strange mechanic where you have to poison like a red spider or something. If that is the case and we aren't successful this time, then I guess we'll just leave and go get like a DDS. Maybe go to Anku's or find a Qualm and a Dragon Scale and make just like a Dragon Dagger with regular poison or something on it, I don't know. So yeah, what you're supposed to be able to do here is after the first 2 bosses you have access to some resupplies, kind of like if you've seen Raids 3, where you're able to get yourself 10 of these bandages, which act as a prayer potion and a food and some kind of super combat as well. I believe we just ignore this blood spawn, maybe? I hope. The bandages that we get after boss 2 will count as a range potion. It just means that we won't have a range pot boost for the first 2 bosses, which is kind of annoying, honestly. But we just went dry for over an hour at the Chaos Druids, and I didn't really fancy waiting there longer. Anyway, that's the Maiden down, boss 1. Very, very simple. Well, you literally pray mage, dodge her blood, and kill the spiders. So what we need to do is wait for him to be on the opposite side of this pillar. And basically you just run round the pillar opposite to what he does, and then eventually he like turns off, powers down, I guess, and at that point we need to flick our piety on, run over to where he is and just hit him. So I believe if you're quick you can get 5 attacks off here, but we're going to play it safe and just get 4 and then run back to safety. This is primarily also a learning raid. I don't really know what we're doing, so I want to be as safe as possible, really. If we don't complete the raid, that's fine, but I'd like to sort of at least semi-understand the mechanics of these entry mode bosses, just so if we do have to resupply and come back again, we're more likely to do it in future. And like I say, if we do decide to come back with like a poison DDS to do the last boss's red spiders that you need to kill with poison, then that also might be really useful here, because then we can dump our specs on him whenever he powers down. Like I say, not having an attack or strength potion, kind of annoying. But there we go, that's the bloat down, so that's the second boss. Yeah, the bandages aren't stackable. I'm not sure if they heal more or less, but if you look, they give you just an array of other buffs as well. Or what we could potentially do is eat one of these now and then take a pizza. So the third room in the raid is the Nilo's room. This is the room where you have to swap combat styles and kill all the little spiders. This one's probably going to be kind of annoying. Sure, something like a blowpipe or an MSB even would be better here, but in terms of what we have access to, it's the rune crossbow all the way. Start maging. Hopefully we don't run out of runes. Like I say, we didn't bring a super big amount of runes. We've only got 100 casts, which isn't really ideal. I know at the end of this you also have to fight a big spider, but that should be a lot easier than this, I'm hoping, because you can actually pray against him, you don't just take random explosion damage. See what we can do here then, I guess. Now I think you can walk under this guy, there's some like janky stuff you can do. And I believe that whatever style you attack him with is also the style he attacks you with. But you know, if you do walk under him like this, it's kind of like Hellfight Queen, you can confuse him for a few seconds, which gives you time to swap your gear and prayers without taking any damage, as you can see. I've got to say, it's really weird not clicking this prayer down here for your mage pray. We've only obviously got Mystic Might. Anyway, that's the third room. Now the issue is we have absolutely no food, and we need to be Soted Seg. Oh, right guys, Soted Seg time. I've just read up on this one, and he has some unavoidable damage. If he does a red ball, then you pray mage. If he does a black ball, you pray ranged. He occasionally does a very big ball, which you can't pray against. We've got 92 max hit points. We're going to obviously start with rubies, which are also going to damage us. So we just got to hope for the best, basically. Hope that our 99 range and our ever so slightly boosted stats are going to be enough to do this. This is the ball in question. I don't know if we get him below 66, we can somehow, like, dodge the 15. Guess not. And then we just do this maze without any other players. And because we're the only one in here, we don't need to, like, care about people outside following our square. So we can just run through. Get to the portal. Don't know what happened there. I'm fairly sure we're dying here anyway. So here we go. Here's his big ball again. You can't dodge that. Like, you can move, but it follows you. So I guess his little ball things get faster and faster. They calculate damage when they hit you, which is kind of weird. It's unlike a lot of monsters in the game. I just don't think we have enough to get through this. Let's just hope the diamond bolts go off. We've got room to take 2 of his 15 hits. So if he hits those big juicy 15s on us here twice before we get his health down, then we've lost. So it's completely RNG. He's not going to send us to the Shadow Realm again, so it's just a case of do our bolts hit or not. Do we do 13% of his health before he kills us with another red ball? Do we get scammed? Is that ball going to kill us? No. Good, because we healed up to full. Oh, dude, we did the room. Okay, I did not expect that, I'll be honest. Right, guys, let's give this a go. I'm not going to pot up. We're going to save our food till we need it. This guy will spawn some, like, ghosts, skeletons on the floor that you have to go stand on. Just make sure that we stand on those as much as possible. If you stand on them, then it doesn't overheal him any more than it has to. And then when the actual fight starts, it's just a case of like circling the room and shooting him quite a lot. If we can get him down to his last quarter health, then the last quarter is doable without taking any damage if you don't mess up. So that's promising. So all we need to do basically is just keep shooting this guy and moving out the way of his silly balls. You can get like 1 or 2 attacks off between each ball. How these work basically is they remain in the room for the entire boss fight. So you need to DPS him quickly before the room fills up too much with green stuff. So now we are lap number 2. We are getting through him though, quite easily. So that should be him dead, I guess. We ended up using like 5 food there at the end, completely pointlessly. So yeah, in the guide I was actually watching, it does say that you do need to bring a ton of brews and just chug them on this final boss, which is very worrying. We do need to grab this weapon though. There's a special weapon here called the Dawnbringer, which we can use during the final boss. We are now down to only 5 food. We've also got 27 diamond balls, so I have no idea how this is going to go, honestly, but I'll give it the best try I can. So I'll go watch the guide and I'll clue you guys back in on the next one. So now on to Verzik, the final boss of the theatre. Now what you do to start with is you use this mage weapon called the Dawnbringer that's just on the floor outside. You throw a few specs at her and you hide behind the pillar when she attacks you. And then once you threw her shield, she moves into phase 2. Now, even though this is an entry mode, this boss has a lot of mechanics that you do need to take a note of. She'll randomly shoot you with mage attacks, she'll also throw a ranged attack that you can dodge, then eventually she summons a purple spider, which is the spider you need to kill with your DDS or other poisoned weapon, and then sometimes she also becomes invincible and shooting her will heal her, and then she summons 2 red spiders, which you also have to kill, or they'll heal her, kind of like the red spider on the very first boss of the raid. Now, on this first attempt, I wasn't entirely sure whether I should be killing the red spiders or just focusing on DPSing the boss down and ignoring their small heal, but the biggest thing that stopped me from actually succeeding this first attempt was the fact that I didn't bring the poisoned weapon. If you attempt to attack this purple spider here that constantly heals her throughout the fight with any other normal weapon, the damage against it is capped at either 3 or 6, depending if you're ranging or meleeing respectively, and you can miss, but if you bring a poison weapon, you literally just need to hit it once and it's guaranteed to die. So because of that sole mistake of not bringing a poison weapon, I couldn't actually defeat the boss before I ran out of supplies. She just ended up healing to full thanks to this poison spider, which was really annoying, but I was aware that I'd probably need the dagger in the very first instance, and I feel like I learned a lot about this raid during this first attempt, so it's not really the end of the world that we failed. We will just scrounge as many of our bolts back as possible. We've got enough rubies for another go, but we don't have enough diamonds. We came in with 70, and as you can see, we've used 44. So we do need to go find some more diamonds, kill some more avian seeds for bars. Yeah. Right guys, back to the archaeologist to try and get some more diamonds, make some more diamond bolts to have another go. I think the inventory was relatively good last time. We overdid it with food because you don't really need too much food for the first 2 bosses. Just gonna grab some more stuff together just like we did last time and have another go. Hey guys, here I am thieving. If I do about 3 or 4 hours of this, I'll get to 78 thieving. We're currently 75, as you may remember. So if we can do Doggish Khan rich chests at 78 with no boost, then there's a 1 in 15 chance from those to get a diamond, which I'm not sure if it'll be the objective quickest way to get diamonds on this account, but it'll be a relatively easy way. Currently our only options really are either kill the deranged archaeologist for a 1 in 26 drop of 5, which I think is the best way, but obviously it requires supplies and requires money for combat runes to go kill him. Then we do have gem stalls, which are 75 thieving, which we do have, and the chance to get a diamond is 1 in 128, so it's going to be a long time to get a single diamond from gem stalls, and yeah, there's just really not very many other options that are good. Obviously, one option again is Gorax with a Ring of Wealth. Can go mine in the gem mine. So if you guys know a better way of getting gems, specifically diamonds, uncuts or cut diamonds or diamond bolt tips, please let me know, because I'm really struggling to find a good way. But now, while I just ponder and sort of look up things and do a bit of research, I'm just going to sit here at the Ardy Nights. Because like I say, if we do get this 78, it will at least unlock one additional method to get diamonds. Hey guys, there we go, there's 76 thieving, which is actually 1800 total, which is pretty nice. Just 2 more levels, which is about 3 hours, as you can see at the top left there. 78 thieving, so that is the level for our Doggish Khan rich chests. So we just need to go grab ourselves a lockpick now. Right guys, that's 15 minutes of chests. We managed 70, which means around 280 of these an hour if we don't hit the hop limit. If we assume it's 4 every 15 minutes, then it should be about 16 diamonds from here an hour, which is a lot more than mining at the gem rocks. That was like probably about 10 an hour there, and it's actually quite good thieving XP as well. So we'll probably use this method a little bit in future. Then we'll make up all our diamond bolts, get them enchanted, and then we'll set up our invent for another attempt at TOB, so see you there. So for our poisoned weapon, I went over to Anku's in the Catacombs for their drop of regular weapon poison, and then just nipped over to the Myth skill to buy a dragon dagger and put the poison on that. Like I say, the tier of poison doesn't make a difference. You still one-shot the spider at the end of the raid anyway, and the dagger itself still does the same amount of damage to blow, so getting better poison, not really worth the time. With our diamonds and addy bars and DDS, I went back to Chaos Druids just for a few more herbs for a few more Guthix rest potions for the run recharge when we're fighting the bloat and we need to run away. And in doing so, I actually got 72 herb lore just from the miscellaneous herbs they dropped. So that's actually the goal level we've had since the very start of the account, which we'll be looking at a bit later on. Right guys, here we are, it's a brand new day, we're ready for some TOB. Here's the invent as it's looking at the minute. We are going to bring a range pot in just to pre-pot up at the first room, just to get our range buff for that first boss. Then of course this time we've got our DDS so we can actually do the final boss properly and kill that purple spider. But we can also use this on room 2 and spec out the bloat whenever he goes down 4 times. So hopefully that'll help us get a quicker kill there. We've been and got ourselves some more ruby and diamond bolts as a switch, and they're both enchanted. And we've got 2 Guthix rests. So what I'm doing here is just making 3 quick prayer potions just to fill up our inventory. I left this till this bank as opposed to doing it on the way here because we can drop our ecto file in order to get that extra space. So here's how the invent's looking entirely. This is going to be our final inventory when we go in. Now again, I don't think the teleport crystal's entirely necessary because it does let you actually tally out, but we are allowed 3 deaths before we have to pay the 100k. Obviously if we die once, it's probably because we've run out of supplies already, and if you run out of supplies, there's kind of no point having a second attempt at a boss when it's on full health and you have no food. But anyway, yeah, you've seen a lot of these bosses already because our first attempt did get us all the way to the final boss, so I'll probably just kind of speed through to the highlights more or less. So yeah, time for Theatre of Blood attempt number 2. Hopefully it goes smoothly, because otherwise it's probably like 2 hours more prep to have another go. Primarily the issue is getting these Guthix rests together. We could now leave, get a new cat, wait a few hours, do a +5 spicy stew boost and make our staminas, because we just got our 72 herb lore just last night. So maybe we don't bring a Guthix rest, maybe we go do some agility, get 10 marks of grace, trade those for a thing, go to the mushroom place, make some super energies, do a stew boost and make a stamina instead. But that might actually be more work and more time, and obviously bringing a stamina over a rest means it doesn't also restore any health. But yeah, time to do another entry mode solo attempt, see if we can knock this out. Just need to keep the DPS up and keep avoiding the blood splatters, and there we go, that's boss number 1. So we'll turn our run off, turn our prayer off. We get all our stats fully refilled, which is kind of generous after every boss, so that's really nice. Right, we're killing in this phase, otherwise we're giving up. There we go. That was painful, not gonna lie. That was really painful. And there we go, we've got all our bandages in the invent. So on to the next room. Right guys, Nilo room, really don't like this one. I think you're kind of supposed to do this with Ancients, but if we want an Ancient staff back in order to actually be able to cast Ancients, then we do need to go kill some mummies in the Desert Treasure Pyramid. It's like a 1 in 513 drop. And there's also no room in there where there's like a bunch of them that are easy to kill. It's not like AoEable. Obviously there's a couple of other weapons in the game. There's like 4 or 5 other weapons you can actually use to auto-cast Ancients, but they're all equally hard to get, like going back to Mage Training Arena, which you can't go inside with money, all this other stupid stuff, getting a Nightmare Staff, or getting full Arims with the Shades of Morton necklace. So really using Ancients here is not super feasible unless I manually cast. Like, it's not that difficult to manually cast Ancients, but bringing Ancients is also more runes than bringing Ibans. I just don't know. I don't know if it's better. But, you know, last time without Ancients, we did manage to get through this room. So I don't think it's entirely essential. Anyway, that's the spider room down. A really terrible one, but not as bad as last time. We do still have some bandages left. Okay, here we go, so it's egg time. I don't know what to pray to start with, but... so I think we're still range potted up because we have the bandage buff. So there's no need to worry about that. Why is this game like this? Why am I hitting a 1? I have 99 range, dude. 99 range, dude. I sat at crabs for 20 days over Christmas to hit 1s on this dark beast. But this is going relatively well. I don't want to jinx it. If you remember last time we were here, we literally had no food left. And it was a pure DPS race. Again, you're not actually supposed to range this guy, which is probably why it doesn't always go super well. So what do we have? We have exactly 10 inventory spaces, so now we can claim our next 10 bandages. And then we can head over to Zarpus. Seems like the prayer makes quite a lot of difference. Okay, so that's Zarpus down. We did an elite combat task somehow. So what we need to do now anyway is eat up a piece of food in order to make space for the mage weapon here. We need to pick up the Dawnbreaker or whatever it's called. Or is that the sword from Skyrim? I can't remember. Dawnbringer? Yeah. Right, gamers, it's time to do some damage to a big stinky spider boss. Alright, okay, it's red phase. Gonna kill the purple one first because the purple one would actively heal her. And we don't want that.
Payback is a bitch. Payback is a bitch.
Well, once again, the quote-unquote guide that I watched recommends you bring loads of brews and just drink a lot of brews during this segment, which obviously isn't really possible for us, so we're just going to use our bolts. Right, so it's web phase, so you just run around the room, basically. Supposedly on entry mode, it's super easy to dodge compared to the normal raid. Don't know how easy it is on the normal raid, but we have time. I'm really, really glad that you get the stamina effect from these bandages, because if you didn't, there's no way we'd be able to do this raid. It's that simple. We would not be able to do the raid full stop. Is this the yellow spot in the room? I can't see it. Oh good, it's behind her. Excellent game. Excellent game, really good. Couldn't see it at all because it put it right behind her. And so yeah, awesome. Another try, I mean, I guess, like, we get 2 deaths before we have to leave, so let's do this then. So here we go, phase 2, we've got no supplies and we've got 21 health, so let's see what happens. I mean, yeah, could I pray against this blue mage attack? Of course I could, but like, the raid's over, mate, like, let's be honest. Okay guys, there it is, a series of zeros. Once again, I don't know why they give you 3 tries, because if they don't give you the chest of supplies again, it's a waste of time to have another try. We're gonna have to go make more supplies again. Stankers, me lad. Give us a crafting boost. There we go, chaps back. Hopefully the fact that we weren't hitting in the raid is somewhat avoidable, if instead of a -11 range we have +17 range. So a 28 range accuracy difference if you wear these instead. Obviously something like a Blessed piece or a Carol's piece would be so much nicer because there's no defense on Black D'hide anymore these days. If you look at that, it's pathetic. It's like steel armor or something. Okay guys, I've decided to just go all in on our range gear for this attempt. I'm going to ditch both the Darrock's plate body and the spiked manacles. To be honest, the manacles aren't providing anything for our account. They do have 4 strength, which is nice. It is the same strength bonus, I think, as just dragon boots. And we are able to go get dragon boots in 6 slayer levels, or literally like 1 slayer level with a wild pie or something. And for these final 2 quests that we actually have left, there's little to no meleeing involved in either of those. As cool as a tank plate body is, you know, if it was a Verax plate body, I'd probably think more about keeping it, because I'm definitely keeping the Verax skirt, because like I say, it's one of the best pieces from Barrows. We'll just make a space for that one, but yeah, for the Darroks, I'm just going to get rid of it. So yeah, just going to get these Shazian Boots 5, because they do give you a +4 ranged boost, so maybe we do slightly worse at blow, but honestly, the only thing that's really stopping us from completing this raid has been our ranged accuracy. So another consideration, not really, oh there we go, finally done with the boots. Not really sure whether we want to bring the range cape in, or instead swap it out for like just an Avers. Since I don't have a second skill to 99, we don't get the +4 prayer bonus on the cape, which is one of the big things that makes wearing a skill cape good. So I don't really know if this is worth wearing to TOB over just the Ava's accumulator, because that does instead have 4 ranged attack. We've already gone ahead and got rid of a bit of defense bonus by swapping our legs, so I don't know if also swapping our cape out is going to make us really squishy, but maybe that 4 accuracy is what we need to win. Now of course I could drop this Darrox over, I could repair transfer it and drop it over to my other account, because as you can see, it's worth nearly $1 million, but obviously I'm not going to be doing that because that's just a waste. So what I'm going to do is actually alch this for the 170k on this account. Now with the manacles, they are worth a little bit. 600k, that's probably worth dropping. The thing is, I just kind of can't be bothered to log into my other account and drop 600k over. So I think what I'll do is I'll head to the Grand Exchange and we'll see if we can find anyone who looks like they deserve it. See if we can find a fine specimen on a non-total level world who could use the 600k more than us. Is this game dead? It's like midday at the weekend and there's just no one around. Like, there's not a soul here. It's like I'm playing a dead private server or something. What is this? Right guys, here we are. We're Darok plate bodyless, we're spiked manaclesless, but we now have 300k cash. We've only got 40 bolts and 70 bolts. Difference this time, obviously we've got the black d'hide chaps instead of wearing the Verax the whole time. We are keeping the Verax in the inventory. Anyway, straight in. Don't know if I'm biased, but I'm not really noticing any better accuracy with this new setup. I'm not really noticing us being any squishier either. It is so hard to tell when RuneScape's entirely RNG all the time. Come on mate, turn round. There we go, Zarpus in the bin. What we're going to try here is just hitting Verzik, not the red crab. It will heal her for 20, but again, you know, I could just hit her more times and do more than 20. Not being funny, but it is constant zeros, isn't it? Like, it's not just me. That should be her down, maybe? No? That should be her down. Yeah, okay. What, I died? Wow, okay. So I thought by killing the boss, like, that mid-air projectile would just despawn, it wouldn't hit us and kill me, but I guess it did. But we still have loads of supplies left, so let's go again. And here we are towards the end of the fight once again. Now this is the yellow spot phase that you have to stand on or you take massive damage, and luckily this time the game actually placed it in a position where I could A, run to in time, and B, actually see it. It wasn't underneath the boss. As you remember, that's what killed us in a previous attempt. And towards the end, Verzik also summons some purple tornadoes that chase you, but as long as you just keep moving, they can't actually do anything. You can actually run and continue to attack, so they're really not much of a threat whatsoever. Oh my god, is that it? Dude, is that it? Please be it. Mate, we had nothing left. Oh my god, let's go. Mate, I know that's not probably very hard for a lot of you watching, but man, that was like a day and a half of work to get that clear. I just want to double check that there's nothing in here we need to click in order to complete the quest. Because if I came in here and like didn't click on something and we left and it didn't count for the quest, I'd be super, super sad. Do we actually get any loot at all though? Let's find out. Dude, no way, some molten glass, a rune battle axe and some rune ore. We'll take that. That's sick. I genuinely didn't think we'd get any money, but obviously for us it's worth a lot less because we can't do anything with the rune ore. So for us it's about 50k of loot, but that's really cool. I think it was absolutely worth swapping our gear to get the max range bonus as possible on the final boss, because had we not hit and had she just hit us like 2 more times, we would have lost. There we go, with our cutscenes complete. That's 4 antique lamps, 2 quest points, and 80,000 combat XP. So let's put this into mage, like I say, just because it is the most expensive to actually train properly. So that's 8k now magic, about half a level gained at this point, which is really kind of sad to see. But the big thing to see is Night at the Theatre has been completed. We now have 287 of the game's 291 quest points. We have a single quest left, which is the Song of the Elves to unlock Prith Dinas and unlock our quest cape. Super happy to be done with Theatre of Blood. Still don't think that should be a quest. It should be a mini quest, especially considering, like I say, Into the Tombs is a mini quest and there's no mini quest for Chambers of Xeric. But anyway, yeah, Song of the Elves time, guys, so I'm going to go see what I need for that and we'll just get straight into it. Right, gamers, it's time for Song of the Elves, or at least some aspects of it. So to start off, we need to get a bunch of disguises so we can once again appear as a mourner, and also as an RD guard, which is why we've been around and grabbed full steel plate and a few dyes and some silk, so we can combine those into an RD guard's uniform. And one of the things we actually need is the mourner outfit, but since we've now completed Morning's End 2, something we couldn't do during Morning's End 2 was teleport to the Dark Beasts with a Slayer ring, because you have to have the quest fully completed for that one. And then what you can do is find a mourner down here. But you can kill one of these guys for a full set of mourner gear that shouldn't be broken. But yeah, Song of the Elves, it's a really, really long one of the longest quests in the game, with one of the most difficult boss fights at the end, which is sadly an enemy that you need to pretty much entirely mage. I think we will have to use Blood Burst or Blood Blitz, whichever one requires 80 mage. The issue with that is, like I've said before, it's very difficult for us to get any weapon that can auto-cast Ancients, because there's only a handful of them in the game, and if you didn't know, once you've defeated Desert Treasure, you can buy a single Ancient Staff from that guy in the desert, but you can only buy one. I'm sure pretty much no one apart from a UlM would ever, lose their Ancient Staff, so we may have to go down to a pyramid and kill 500 mummies to get that staff back. But once we've completed the entire quest minus the final boss fight, and that's just a whole consideration in itself. So we're going to head over to Edmund, who you actually go to in Biohazard or Plague City. Remember that right at the start where we came here and we got our 2,500 mining XP or whatever it is from this quest to help push us towards Iron to do Doric's quest? Honestly, such good times. So basically we're finally sick of King Lathas and his rubbish, so what we do is we finally get all our rebels together in Ardi, we drive the Mourners and King Lathas out with the help of the Elves. So I'm really not worried about getting rid of absolutely anything that we have to in our inventory or in our equipment screen in order to complete Song of the Elves. Song of the Elves is everything right now. It's going to lead into so many things, so many huge unlocks, the ability to complete Lumbridge Elite, get rid of our Drayman Staff, and just so many other little things we can go do. So we've just took a tabard over to these people here, and they've helped us with our dye and tabards, and now we've created Ardi Knight armor instead of regular steel, so now we have a new disguise on top of our Mourner disguise. So let's pop our disguise on, sneak into jail, and then we can go talk to Elena, who should be in prison over here. It's super funny if you could see the sidebar here, the quest helper sidebar, because the amount of scrolling on it is insane. Obviously we're just in the first chapter now, which is still 12 lines of objectives. There's a good probably 28 to 30 plus individual chapters here in this quest, so it's going to be monumental to get this all done, but I think the easiest way is simply to take things one at a time. So we talked to Elena in jail, and she gives us some advice to go to her house and get a certain chemical out of her dresser that we're going to go return to her, and then with this I guess she's just going to use that to blast her way out of prison.
This is not meth.
So this will be the first little segment of the quest, just freeing Elena from prison, and then with that we have to head back into the Mourner base. So the very first part of Song of the Elves here is creating a revolution in Ardi, both the west and east side, getting all the people to rise up against King Lathas and his faction of Mourners / Ardi Knights. So on the west side here we cause a bit of trouble, we once again dress as a Mourner, we just go around confronting people and getting them to dislike us. For example, we go and tell the priest that there'll be brand new taxes, and then we poison his food in front of him, then we go down to the local doctor and the local general store, tell them about new taxes as well, and just go around and cause a whole bunch of trouble, which adds a bunch of supporters to our side. After this we head over to the east side and do the same thing in the Ardi Knight section with an Ardi Knight disguise. We run around all the market stalls talking about new taxes, we talk to the town crier, get him to rise against us as well because he's got more influence, and we try and get ourselves 80 members of the resistance. And that should be enough, so now we can head back to the Mourner base. Like I say, it's technically possible for us to make the stamina pool now, and it may be that we make it before the end of this quest, because it might end up saving us a little bit of time. The only issue is we need a cat, but any really, really long quest like this where incrementally you're given followers and things, normally you can't do that with a pet with you, so that's really a consideration for a bit later. So with a small army of disenfranchised peasants, we finally take our assault to the Mourner HQ, fight our way downstairs where the lieutenant here teleports away to safety, but we actually take out all the rest of the Mourners, and we secure the West Ardi side. Finally, in our assault against King Lathas, we push up to Ardi Castle where he hides behind his paladins. You have to take out a few waves of these before you can deal with him, but luckily for us you can actually safe spot these guys over the heads of our friendly NPCs. They can't walk through each other, so I didn't have to waste any prayer here. I was just able to bolt these guys and finally make our way upstairs. After the assault, the king's finally dragged out, kicking and screaming, and we take him to meet his just end in front of the people of Ardi, finally freeing the town.
My ancestors are smiling at me, Imperials. Can you say the same?
With King Lathas out of the picture, we're actually knocked out during this execution ceremony and dragged over to Lord Iorwerth's camp, where he gives us some exposition on his grand plan this whole time. So this whole time, Lord Iorwerth's been using King Lathas in an attempt to get into the Mourner tunnels below Ardi, get down to the Death Altar, and revive the elven god Seren. Luckily for us, we're actually rescued in time by Arianwen and a troop of elves from Lechia, In the past, in the times of the God Wars, the elves actually went into hiding so as not to be destroyed by Zamorak or other similar gods. So all the different elven leaders split up and went into hiding in different places, and the grand elven city of Prifddinas was shrunk down into a crystal seed, and there's some magical seals placed on it to prevent anyone coming inside or messing with things. But now the group of the elves decide that it's probably the time to restore the city to its former glory. Now the Ardyside threats are gone and the God Wars are over. For our first clues on how to do this, we actually head over to Backstorian Falls from the Waterfall quest, as that's the last known location of Lord Backstorian, one of the elven leaders, and it's believed that there might be some clues over there as to what to do first. So here we are in the Waterfall dungeon room. Everyone remembers this iconic room from doing Waterfall quest to get themselves like the 40 strength or 40 attack or whatever it is straight away at the start of their account. Truly good times. It's crazy to think just how long ago it actually was that we were here. Probably like the first 2 or 3 episodes of this series. Hey guys, if you want to watch through the rest of the series, go back on the channel. There's a nice playlist just for the nostalgia. At least we get to use up all our 6 quest items here to solve this puzzle. And then, as we should see here, Lord Backstorian just pops out of his statue form. I don't know what happens with his wife. So Arianwyn and Backstorian head over to Letya. They don't take us, which is super rude, because we need to go straight back there and talk to them as the next step of our quest. Ah well, here we are. So with Lord Backstorian back in the fray of the elves, the next thing we need to do is go find ourselves a Cadantine seed so we can grow an Elder Cadantine here in Letya in a special quest-only herb patch in order to make the potion to shrink us down and get us inside Prif to turn off the defences while it's still in its crystal form. So I'm going to head off, find a Cadantine seed from somewhere, and I'll see you there. Hey gamers, ask and ye shall receive. There's our Cadantine seed. Not been here too long. What we did also get is an Avanto seed, which is interesting. We can turn that into super energies and then subsequently turn those into stamina potions. So I'm going to go get all the stuff together to make sure I have Ultra Compost to make sure we grow this Avanto in one of the spots that can't die. Because like I say, we need about 14 Avantos to make like 10 super energy 4s that we can then make into stamina pots once we do stew up to 77, so we can then put those in our house pool. So with the herbs to create our shrinking potion growing in the ground, we're sent off to accumulate a few of the elven leaders. Very first one is Lord Amlod. We're simply given a crystal teleport seed specific to this quest in our inventory. All you have to do is just click it. It teleports you to him. He's hiding inside the Enchanted Valley, which is that place you can go to with the fairy rings to get your rune axe as a low level. You just talk to him and then he goes back to let you to join the others. Now this guy's a master of like transformation. He likes to turn into animals. He's a bit of a furry like that. But we use his actual transforming powers a little bit later to help us shrink down and get inside Prif. So he's really useful. The second elven leader we're going to need to awaken is Lady Traherne. Now this is one of the oldest elves ever. So she actually has this powered metal exoskeleton she uses to move around. But sadly it's like rusted or broken. What we need to do is take a rune bar and a hammer over to her in order to fix it so she can actually move and get back to Letya and join the rest of the elves. Since obviously we don't have the 85 smithing to make a rune bar of our own, gonna have to go find one as a drop somewhere. I think the best place is probably the Firewatch over in Maya Ditch. Both normal Firewatch and the Sentinels drop rune bars are around the same drop chance. It's around 1 in 46 to 1 in 48, but the regular ones here, the weak ones, they actually have half the health of the Sentinels. They do have an otherwise worse drop table, but I think since we're literally here for one specific item, it makes the most sense to just kill these ones with half the health. We can't smith a rune bar till 85 smithing to make a basic rune bar, so we're really, really far away from that, and we have too many items on us to feasibly go train smithing now up to 85, so we're going to have to get a rune bar as a drop. Now we're here in the Underground Pass entrance, or exit as you might call it, the back way from the Elven lands, but of course you have your Turtle Tail altar here, and you can go upstairs and kill wizards if you want to. And then inside we'll find Lady Traherne, and we'll fix her little exoskeleton with our rune bar we just got from Vyers. And then she wakes up and she's like, yo, I'll come join your little group. Go talk to Elena because our herbs have grown. So what we actually need to do is go grab a pestle and mortar and a vial of water, which I'll go grab at the Myths Guild, and we'll be able to crush these herbs and some crystals down into a special crystal potion. So we just shrink ourselves down, I guess, into like the tiny version of Prif and go inside and cause some trouble. And this is where we should have to do some library puzzles. It's a cool looking place. It certainly looks a lot nicer than the Morning's End 2 one, and we don't get attacked by horrible little shadows. And so what we're going to do is run around the library, and we need to activate all these different seals, which are like a containment field set in loads of different parts. And once again we need to do a bunch of light puzzles, but what we're actually going to be doing is just clicking on things that are blue and not really thinking about it too much, which is the goal. And hopefully at the end the seal to the library should be undone, and then the Elven Council should be able to restore Prif with that. There we go, that's our first light puzzle, if you can call it that. Just very simply rotate all the things that it tells you to rotate. But now it says we need to go collect 7 mirrors and a red crystal from the dispenser at the start, so it's kind of akin to Morning's End 2, where we need to actually collect items. Here we go, here's seal number 3. I had to use a bunch of mirrors for this one, kind of like Morning's End 2. What's also nice is each time you do a seal, you get teleported back to the middle, where you can reset all the stuff. Now, I don't know how many inventory spaces we're going to need for everything. Seems like 14 for this lot. Oh, of course, awesome. So they've definitely learned from the mistakes with Morning's End 2, because the mirrors actually stack here as well, which is insane. So it's never going to require a full invent to do all this. This is really good. Anyway, we're going to have a bunch more puzzles here, so I'm just going to fire through them. I'll see you guys at the end once we've done all these seals and we're ready to continue with the quest line. Ooh, gamers, it's our first handholds segment of Song of the Elves. Let's see how we go. Hopefully these are easier to succeed than the Morning's End ones. There we go, finally made the handholds with only 3 failures, and that's the seal of the Malia completed. So back to the entrance. We've got 3 more seals, I believe, so I'll see you there. Hey guys, second lot of handholds here, at least the second unique one. It seems like though if we do fall down here, we just go right back up these stairs and we're straight back. So it seems like with this quest they've specifically designed these, so if you do fall down it's really not that bad. I guess worst case scenario you lose a little bit of health, and if you fail a whole bunch of times you might need to heal, but I don't really see that happening to us. Hey gamers, here we are in this actually quite visually impressive room. We've arranged all the mirrors and gems. I think, if I'm not mistaken, this is the final seal. Says we can now leave the library. Quickly you can do this by hopping worlds. I have a button set up to hop to the next world, so I'll just hit that. So with the defensive seals inside the miniature version of Prif now deactivated, the last thing we need is to gather the remaining 2 elven leaders, so the elves can use their powers together and rebuild the city and complete the quest. We're just missing Lady Heffin, the agility-based clan, and we're also missing Lord Crowis, the kind of naturist-based clan. So we need to just hop over some shortcuts here near the Zulra swamp to get to the agility lady. She's just hiding here as a hermit on a random island. And then finally, the final elven leader is just disguised as a tree somewhere here in Tiranan. Just need to attempt to chop him down, and then he reveals himself to be an elf, and we get his arse back to Letya to join the rest of them. And with all the elves finally assembled in Letya, Lord Backstorian sends us over to the Ioworth camp real quick. Obviously, these guys are now aggressive to us because that clan doesn't like us at all, and we need to just steal Ioworth's orb. I assume because Lord Ioworth is against us, he doesn't want to help us in rebuilding Prif, so we need to nip into his camp, defeat his 2 guards, and steal his orb from his chest so we can simply rebuild Prif without him. With the orb secured, we head back into the woods once again for a meeting with one of Lord Ioworth's soldiers who's going to go traitor on him and help us. This guy's called Iestin. We get tagged by a poison trap on the way to him, which is a little bit of a shame. While we're gone, however, Letya is actually attacked by the Lord Ioworth clan, with the aid of Arianwyn, sadly, who's turned traitor on us and becomes the first mini-boss fight of this quest. So we're going to have to take him out. All we need to do here is pray range. Anytime you get shot with a purple arrow, your prayer gets turned off. And anytime an orange arrow comes towards you, you have to move. Hopefully we don't lag here. As you can see, I do have 300 of the finest ping at the top of the screen there. Shouldn't be too difficult. It's only 300 health is that we have to do. The only issue here is I'm not sure I've brought enough food, and we are still ticking down on poison damage from crossing that stupid trap a second ago, which is a little bit unfair. Clearly this is actually quite late in the quest comparatively. Okay, I'm dead. Cool. That's really awesome, guys, so that means we now have to make enough money to get our RD Cape back and take a charter ship over to Letya to run all the way back to Letya to get our stuff. We've got enough cash on our body to actually get our items back, but we need to make a bunch of money just to get 1.5k. It's pretty frustrating, but you know, latency be like that sometimes. So while editing this video, I realised the reason we were lagging is because I used the quick hop button when we were in the library earlier, because you hop worlds and you get out of the library quicker, and for some reason it just plonked us into an Australian world for this part, and I certainly wasn't playing on an Australian world before, so I don't understand that, but it's my fault really for not checking or not noticing during the fight and hopping then. But for now, I might as well show this off because this is generally what I do when I do die. Obviously, we're not dying on purpose in order to have more inventory space to skill easier, but I think the easiest way for me to get, say, 2 or 3k back to run back to our body whenever we do get knocked out is to simply grab the free bronze axe. If you just make like willow longs and just sell them to this shop here. Like I say, we will gain a little bit of fletching XP doing this, and I guess that is technically avoidable, but honestly, like, if I do die, then the only goal is just to like make the minimum money back as quick as possible to get back to our death pile. If I could come up with a better respawn point somewhere in the game that's closer to a safe moneymaker that gives us no XP. I know that's a real big ask. Maybe you guys know something if you drop it in the comments below. You know, even if it costs us like a mil to move our respawn to Edgeville or something, that would be ideal, but I can't think of anything. But like I say, I'm going to do the absolute bare minimum just to make the money back to get back to our body. You know, if our body wasn't over in Tehran, it would be a lot easier because we wouldn't have to take a charter ship. If we had Lumbridge Elite, it'd be a lot easier to get back. I'd just run from here over to the Wizard's Tower, go into the Fairy Ring behind the tower. And that's specifically why Lumbridge Elite's going to be so important and why I want it immediately after Quest Cape. It's for PVM deaths like this. So I made it back to our body in Letya. Luckily we had over 80k on us when we died, so we just took the money out of our invent. Otherwise we would have had a much bigger issue. Going into the fight was a lot easier with no lag. All you have to do is when you get a purple arrow fired at you, just toggle your quick prayers back on. When you get an orange arrow fired at you, simply move one tile, and then for the rest of the time just pray range and just shoot the enemy. After the battle, Lord Iorwerth and Arianwyn both escape, and sadly we lose the elf Isgawin, whoever the heck that is, and then we carry on with the quest. So with Arianwyn defeated and the attack on Letya finally stopped, it turns out there's actually 2 more elven clan leaders we need to assemble. I know it's a little bit long in the tooth, we kind of get the deal now, Jagex, but we are coming towards the end, so don't you worry. The final 2 clans we need to assemble are the leader of the Ithel clan, which is kind of the smithing based clan. It turns out Lady Ithel's literally just stood here in Letya, but she's forgotten who she is, so we actually go round, touch a bunch of symbols, and we build a statue of Lady Ithel, and then she has a look at it and she's like, whoa, that's me. I'm this only elf here with a unique character model. And then she comes and joins the council. I know, it's great writing. And then the final elf that we need to assemble, we just have to follow a special quest-based clue scroll around the forest. It ends at the entrance to the underground pass, where we need to take all our gear off and do an emote for the last elven leader to appear. Dude, where am I going? I'm just trying to get to the underground pass. I was here at the entrance of Prif and I've come all the way around, so I guess we're going all the way down the Arendar Pass to get to the underground pass. I couldn't figure out a way from, like, here to this log. Then with all these guys assembled, the only thing we have left to do in the quest now is head inside the underground pass, downstairs, and fight off the Iorwerth army once again, because Lord Iorwerth wants to do a last Hail Mary play to try and prevent us from rebuilding Prif, so he wants to attack the dwarf camp inside the underground pass where they tunneled through into the Death Altar, because he thinks that inside there is the key to awakening Seren, but it turns out that she's actually like all warped and it's only the dark, evil version of Seren left, and Iorwerth wants to wake her up, so we need to go stop him. So first thing we do is set up some defences around the dwarves down here, because we know that the evil elves are on their way to attack. So we plant a few mines, set up a few cannons, and then we're tasked in defending the gate here for 4 minutes in this like holdout section. Now there's a bunch of NPC elves here in multi that do try and attack you and attack the gate as well, but you actually don't need to kill any of these elves, you just need to keep their attention on you. You just literally attack every on-screen elf that's attacking the gate once, so they change their attention to you, and then every few seconds 1 or 2 of them will swap their attention back to the gate, so you just need to tag those guys back, and at the same time you just need to make sure you're protecting against the majority of damage coming your way, and just keeping your food and prayer topped up for 4 minutes. So if you defend the gate for 4 minutes, the next segment is just a mini-boss, one of Iorwerth's lieutenants. Now this guy is very similar to Crook in Monkey Madness 2, in that you can just lure him next to this crate and then just step out and flinch him, which is what we did for the entire fight here, absolutely shamelessly. And then the only thing left is to go inside the Death Altar door here with Lord Iorwerth, who decides to wake up Seren, and then that's the final boss of the quest, the only thing standing between us and Prif. But basically she's really difficult because she has a bunch of mechanics. Incrementally throughout the fight she does damage based on your max health, so in order to survive an attack that she does you have to heal to absolutely full. I think it does like 95% of your max health, which means that if you have high HP like we do, we have like 92, then she hits you for like 90, which means you need to heal from whatever you're at up to like 90, 91 a number of times, which means you need a lot of HP worth of heal in your inventory to defeat her. You have to use mage against her, you have to pray against ranged against her, so you either need to bring a ton of blood spells and auto cast some blood magic just to keep your HP topped up to full at all times, which is quite expensive and difficult to obtain, or you need to bring just high DPS like a trident or something, and incredibly good food like brews and restores, which also we don't have access to. So I'm not sure how we're going to approach Seren. I'm going to do a bunch of research, and I'll probably come back in another clip, and we'll talk about what we're potentially going to try. But that's Song of the Elves up to the final boss complete. So let's not get too overzealous because we're not there yet. It's going to be a struggle. But yeah, it's Fragment of Seren time, I guess. Oh, right guys, Operation Seren boss. I think we should be able to do this. What I need to do though is get a weapon back that can cast ancient magics. Because there's no way I'll be able to do this boss with the absolute micro of every single attack manually casting Bloodburst. So what we are going to do is go attempt to get an ancient staff back. Now I think I mentioned before, but if you didn't know already, you get one ancient staff after Desert Treasure from the guy. You can buy one for 80k, but you can only buy one. You can't buy another one. So you have to seek an ancient staff from a different source if that's your weapon of choice for ancient magics. So outside of the Nightmare Staff, the Master Wand / Kodai Wand, and the Arim Staff, those three options, the only fourth option is another ancient staff, which is probably the most feasible way that we're going to be able to auto-cast ancients here. So the first place you can get it is Vetion, the boss in the wilderness, not doing that. Second option is Thermi, the Slayer boss, which is an option, but I believe he's like 93 Slayer, so 16 Slayer levels away from being able to do Thermi. Not really feasible. There's the Chaos Fanatic in the Wilderness at 1 in 128, again in the Wildy, so kinda don't really want to. And then our final only other option are these mummies here, but it is a 1 in 513. So what we're going to be doing over the next few days, more likely than not, is just chilling in here and killing mummies. As you can see in the invent, we've got a ton of runes. Where did those come from? Well, I just spent a couple of hours doing blood runes. Obviously, we can now make blood runes over on Zaya, which don't require any essence or any other materials. So we did that for a couple of hours tonight on and off. I made about 1,500 bloods. I sold 500 of them to buy 500 death runes. It should be, I think, 250 casts, which I would imagine should be enough for an attempt. But it is like a 10-minute boss fight, so I'm really not sure. That's just how many the guy in the video I watched used. So I'm already really not enjoying this place because while I'm in combat, I keep being tagged off by other garbage. These strange mummies that you can't attack properly that keep spawning, and bugs that keep spawning, and even though it's singles, they're interrupting the combat I'm already in and tagging me off, which is really stupid. One of those really funky old pieces of content, kind of like the haunted mine tunnels with all those odd zombies with their weird drops. But yeah, just going to chill here, try and get a 1 in 500. Once we pick that up, we'll have a look at food. Supposedly all we really need is a couple of prayer pots and then just a load of the best food we can get, which should be pineapple pizzas. And then with those two things, we just need the very best mage setup we can get our hands on. A lot of the guides that I watch for low levels is just full Mystic and a Seer's Helm. So that seems achievable. It is just a gear and kind of RNG and supplies test on your account, and our mage level isn't super high. It's only one level above the bare minimum to attempt this, with 80 for Blood Blitz. So we're not going to have the most accuracy. We obviously don't have any of the Mage Arena capes either, so I don't really know how it'll go. But there's only one way to find out, and that's by doing an attempt. As you can see, we've also got Karambwanji and a cat with us, because I am going to attempt to make the stamina pool as well. While we have some downtime now before fighting the boss, where we're just farming things, I'm growing a cat. It's only got 10 minutes left. Try and nail that stew boost for a +5 to make staminas, get the stamina pool, and then also the prayer pool with the prayer pots we already have, so that should be super good. So I took a brief pause from the mummies, because they are really terrible, and our cat was ready to go. So I headed over to Dagonoth to try and get another Avanto seed, because we were slightly short on the Avantos we would need to make 10 4-dose staminas to upgrade the pool in our house. So I planted another Avanto seed, took over 2 hours at the Dagonoth to get this, which is kind of strange because I think it's like a 1 in 70 drop or something. And then we just went to the Evil Dave basement, killed some behemoth rats with our cat, got the brown spice that we needed. Eventually all the Avantos were ready, so of course we went to Seer's Village, did a few laps to get some Marks of Grace to turn into Amylase crystals, and then I just went and used our spicy stew at the GE, hit that +5, and then we were able to make the 10 staminas we needed. With these I went to my house, and then we could upgrade our stamina pool without any kind of boost, because it actually only requires a level 70 construction. It's just gated behind a really, really high herb lore level. So with the stamina pool complete, I ran to the Grand Tree, grabbed the crystal sawback, and I decanted down an unnoted few prayer pots just to upgrade the pool once again into the level 3 prayer pool. This does require 80 construction, but obviously we have 78, and the saw provides a +3, so now that one's done as well.
Hey guys, it's a new day and I'm back to killing mummies to attempt to get our ancient staff so we can can go back and kill Seren. It's kind of some janky old code. It's really unlike anything else in the game. As you may notice, I'm not sure if you guys realise, but a lot of the time I leave my NPC aggression zone plugin thing on, which is this red box where inside enemies will become unaggressive after 10 minutes. You just have to leave the box and come back. That's why you see people resetting when they're training their combats. But this area doesn't follow the rules of that at all. So, like, stuff still attacks you, as you can see, even when you've lost aggro, which is kind of interesting. Just so you know, there's only a certain combat level ones that we actually want. This guy's level 103, but the guy that was attacking me just there was level 96. Now, level 96 are ones that spawn at random, and they come out of the wall here from the sarcophaguses, and what they do is they take priority aggro onto you, which is really fun, and they also stall you for a few ticks. So if you go past one of those, it's the same with these randomly spawning scarabs, which are even more annoying. They hit you on the way past, they drop your combat with whatever you're actually fighting, and then they tag onto you instead. So it's really annoying trying to avoid those and stay in combat with the guy that you're actually trying to fight. Oh, by the way, also the weird mummies that spawn from these sarcophaguses, forgot to say, they have 1 HP, apparently, but you also can't do any damage to them. So they just interrupt your combat, they tag you off like a dirty ragger in PvP, and they're invincible as well. So it forces you to run away. Also something that's really annoying, since these guys are such old janked content, as you can see, they like do some weird kind of animation where they kind of change into a burnt mummy NPC when they die. I think because of that, it's the reason they don't actually show in the Runelight drop log at all. There's no way to know how many of these I will have killed or the total loot I will have received. I can only confirm that some of the things on the wiki are in fact correct. They do drop these Ring of Dueling wands, which is super strange. Dude, there it is. I just came back from AFK. It exists. So I can confirm, guys, these mummies do in fact drop the Ancient Staff. I mean, on and off, I've been leaving and taking breaks, but I spent like 9 hours kind of online going for this, so like probably a lot less actual hours of killing these guys, but you know, a fair few hours. And again, I've no idea how many kills I got per hour. I mean, I got 33k ranged XP an hour, if that helps you. I don't know, like... But there we go. We're ready to cast Ancients. So the next step in our master plan is to go get ourselves some GP, so we can have the best possible mage bonus for fighting Seren. So yeah, we'll head to Gargoyles, we'll make a little bit of money, maybe like 100k more, something like that, just for a set of full Mystic, and then while we're there, if we do get the Dark Mystic piece from the Gargs, then that'll save us a bunch of money as well. So with that Ancient Staff, it was time to fully prepare for one attempt at the Seren boss fight. So first thing I did, obviously, was do a gargoyle trip, came back, even smithed the noted bars that we got as drops and sold those for some extra GP. We alchemized our crossbow, our dragon sim, and our Iban staff, because we wouldn't be using any of those, and then we replaced our top, bottom, and boots with Mystic pieces. Didn't obviously replace the Barrow's gloves, because that would be a massive downgrade. I actually didn't bother swapping the Slayer helm either, because it's only one more mage bonus for the Mystic hat, and I figure the one mage bonus probably doesn't outweigh having the Slayer helm in our inventory over food. Now this quest is going to be difficult, so what I am actually going to do is we're going to grab a blessing and a beacon ring, because there is 2 mage bonus on this ring from What Lies Below quest, and there is a prayer bonus on this Rada's blessing. So obviously we don't have a mage arena cape, we still have our Ardy cloak. Obviously we could upgrade the book to a god book if we had the pages, but this still has 6 mage and 3 prayer, so it's respectable. What I need to do though, however, is head over to a fairy ring, head over to the desert, run all the way down to our lovely pyramid where we killed our mummies, and go get ourselves onto the ancient spellbook, because we can't yet do that from our POH. It is a goal I do have for the future. The only issue with swapping to Ancients will still remain getting ourselves an actual weapon that can cast Ancient Magics repeatably. Okay guys, so it's finally time to face Seren for the first attempt here. Now this boss actually has 4 different segments pretty much. She'll constantly attack you with ranged attacks, which you need to pray against, otherwise they do like 12 each, and she shoots them in pairs. But if you pray, it reduces these to a max hit of 3, so it's not that bad if you pray against her. She basically cycles through 4 phases with a different special attack during each. The first attack she does is just a ball that hits you and teleports you next to her. Now if you stand next to the boss, she'll occasionally transform into like a Beyblade, and if you are stood nearby, you'll rapidly take damage. So all you need to do is take literally 1 square of a step away when you do get sucked in, and you can fully avoid this attack.
The second attack, Seren will split into a number of copies, and there'll be one that's a slightly lighter colour than the others. You just need to attack that one a single time, and then all the copies disappear and you can progress with the fight. The third phase, she'll summon a bunch of pillars, which all act as heals. You need to take these out really, really quickly. Now, there's two different ways you can deal with this. You can either bring a fast-firing ranged weapon like knives or darts, kind of like the Hespori flowers, and just swap between all these and take them out quickly. Or if you are on blood spells, if you do hit one of these pillars, you are guaranteed to heal yourself a 5. So if you do just camp blood spells this whole time, it's a nice little opportunity for you to also get some healing as well. And then her full special attack is the aforementioned one that does your max health -1 pretty much. There's a few ways you can deal with it. You can cheese it with a phoenix necklace and self-damage. You can use redemption at the right time to get a bit of a heal off this special attack. But basically you need to be on full health or above when this attack comes towards you. Otherwise it will literally just one-shot kill you. So what killed me on this first attempt here was I was just simply too greedy with getting more and more attacks off before her big special attack. I didn't leave enough ticks for me to eat up to full health. I just didn't have enough time. And since I'd only bought pineapple pizzas, I didn't even have any karambwans to get an extra heal in on the same tick. So I just couldn't heal up to full before she killed us, which was a bit of a shame because as you can see here, I've got 10 pizzas left in the invent and 1.5 prayer pots. So I definitely didn't need to die here, but it was my first attempt, so I wasn't quite sure how it worked yet. But I think it was a decent try. Right guys, we're back. We've done our walk of shame. Luckily we could just run to Alcarid, take the glider to the Grand Tree and just walk back here. So let's recollect our things. 80k out of our cash stack. So luckily we have enough money to die again if needs be. We're going to need to potentially go get more runes, I think, because, we use a third of them. I see we've lost our beacon ring as well, interestingly, so I guess we'll go get that back as well. But yeah. We'll just go resupply Unnote one more full prayer pot to replace this one. Buy more runes. Hopefully we can afford some more without going below 80k so we can immediately have another attempt. Otherwise we'll have to go make some money, which I would rather not do right now. Okay guys, after that attempt we are a little bit short on cash. Can't quite afford to buy enough blood runes. I bought a couple of deaths, but I don't want to go below 80k. So I'm just going to make a few invents of bloods, see how much we end up with. And then if we do have any extra, we could sell those for a bit of GP. But certainly want at least 900 bloods for an attempt, I think. So going to do a couple of invents of this, then we'll go back and remake our pizzas and have another go. So with some freshly made blood runes in hand, I went back for another attempt at Seren. Now it's actually quite a bit of a walk to get back here. What I was doing is going to the Grand Tree and actually walking all the way down the Arendar Pass. Now I know you can technically get here from going through the Death Altar in the Abyss, through the wilderness near Edgeville, but I certainly wasn't going to risk all my stuff on me at once to try and get back to this boss, so we were walking each time, which wasn't too bad unless we got snagged by the poison trap on the way down. Now this second attempt, it can't really pinpoint any major mistakes I made, a few inefficient eats and stuff. We actually got her down to 270 HP left, which is still over a quarter when I actually had to tally out, which is a little bit of a shame. So Seren is quite a lot of RNG, obviously, whether you splash, whether you don't. Another consideration is the fact that your max hit is actually capped here to 24 arbitrarily by Jagex, regardless of the gear you bring. Now I do think Bloodlit should be a 25 max hit, so we were being slightly gimped by that, but it's not the biggest thing in the world. So what I decided to do here was actually alch a few pieces of gear. I actually decided to alch Ring of the Elements from Guardians of the Rift. I also got rid of the Armadil D'hide body by selling it to the Berthorpe High Alch shop. I didn't actually want to go all the way to the pyramid to go back onto Ancients after high alching, so I just reclaimed the Lumbridge ring and actually cast low alch on Verak's skirt and the ring, which was a little bit sad. But getting rid of these three things hopefully would make a difference in terms of the supplies we could bring into future attempts. Right boys, Seren attempt 3. I took the leap and got rid of the Ring of the Elements, the Blessed D'hide top and the Verak skirt. Didn't want to, but the reason we failed last time was because we didn't have enough supplies, so I just had to make more space. As you can see, we've got ourselves a whole bunch of pizzas, 2 crams as emergency food, and then as an extra bonus, a chocolate bomb, because I used the very last house tab to get here, so I grabbed one of these at the Grand Tree on the way down. So let's send it. Right guys, and here's another attempt at Seren, this time with even more inventory space. Despite this though, I don't know if RNG was just not in our favour or I was playing terribly, but we actually had to teleport out with Seren still on 330 health remaining, so a lot worse even than the last attempt where she had 270 health, even though we've brought better food this time, made 3 more invent spaces, so I don't really know what's going on there. But I think what we're going to do for this one is just pop a pin in Seren for now, because what I want to do in the next episode is make a few gear adjustments enhancements / upgrades from some interesting places, pick up a few interesting things that are probably going to make this fight a little bit easier for us. So I've got a sneaky plan in that regard, so I think this is a good place to end the episode for now. Kind of on a cliffhanger with the quest incomplete, which is kind of weird. But yeah, just a reminder what we actually got done today. We did the Night at the Theatre raid at the start, obviously, and we did the whole of the Song of the Elves quest up to the final boss, which was really long. Along the way, we increased our herb lore to the level 4 range pots and the ability to stew to staminas, which allowed us to make our POH stamina and prayer pools. And then while grinding for supplies for diamond bolts, we got 3 thieving levels to open Dorgish Khan rich chests in future, so we can get diamonds from those to make our bolts. And then at the very start we also got a fishing and a cooking level just as some downtime. In the next episode we will be cracking on with Seren. Obviously, of course, the Secrets of the North boss has come out as well as that new quest, so that will be added onto our to-do list. It's just some of the clips in this one were recorded before that came out, so I didn't mention it as much in the live commentary, but I am aware of that quest. We will be cracking on with that one as well. Got some interesting places we're going to go in the next episode, so drop a like, drop a sub, drop a comment if you have anything to say. Appreciate you guys watching, appreciate the nice PMs in game as well. You guys are great. So look after yourselves. I'll see you in the next episode. Goodbye.